In our last episode, we recovered some of the Brotherhood's stolen weapons from a makeshift vault occupied by the Crater Raiders. We then learned from the Raiders that they got these weapons from another Raider group that had recently come by and then left, and also that the settlers at Foundation had some of the rocket launchers. After chasing the Raiders away from the makeshift vault, the Brotherhood came back and occupied it with Protectrons. Not much else had changed. However, we do find some of Shin's characteristic charisma on display by a piece of Raider art made from a destroyed Protectron against a billiard table. Here we see that he's left a note called the Brotherhood Note. Is this distasteful barbarity the Raiders' idea of entertainment? Make sure it's cleaned up. This is our outpost now, and leaving something like this around doesn't reflect well on the Brotherhood. Knight Shin ad Victoriam. Well, say what you want about Knight Shin, but he's definitely consistent. He was also distressed by the news that the settlers at Foundation also got their hands on these rocket launchers. He kind of hinted that he wanted us to keep all of the details about everything we learned to ourselves and not share them with Paladin Romani. So we can head to Paladin Romani and just give her the bare bones. Let her know all she needs to so she can tell us what to do next.
Ah, Initiate. I haven't had the chance to discuss your last assignment with Knight Shin yet. Was there something you needed to report to me directly?
Guess who got a hold of some rocket launchers? Foundation! Surprise!
This isn't the time for jokes, Initiate.
Sorry.
This is very troubling news.
Yeah. We've discovered that the settlers of Foundation may be in possession of those weapons as well.
Really? Foundation? That's troubling. How well do you know the people of Foundation?
If we sided with the settlers of Foundation during the Wastelanders' quests, we can pass a settler check to say they're close allies of mine.
Excellent. That's great news.
Or if we sided with the Raiders at Crater, we can pass a Raider check to say, you mean those dorks hiding in the giant log cabin?
I advise you put your feelings aside for this next mission. Actually, I advise you put those feelings aside altogether. As I was saying, I spoke with a few members of their community looking for ways to work together. We're in need of food and water. They have plenty to spare. However, knowing they may have those weapons accelerates matters. It's critical that we follow up with them right away.
We could pass a Raider check to say, why not work with Crater? They've got supplies and they're way more fun.
That's an alarming insight into your personal dealings, Initiate. Foundation is the better option for making long-term arrangements.
Or we could say, I understand. Please go on.
Your mission is as follows. Meet with Gloria Chance, the supervisor of Foundation Supply Room. Determine whether or not they've seen or acquired such weapons for themselves. And lastly, establish a trade deal with Foundation. Something that will provide us longevity in Appalachia.
If we sided with the settlers of Foundation...
You're gonna have to make some tough decisions, but I trust that you know Foundation well enough to make the right calls.
Or if we sided with the Raiders at Crater...
Regardless of your personal issues with Foundation, I need you to see this through. The future of the Brotherhood in Appalachia relies on it. And allow me to stress, both returning with the weapons and securing a trade deal are equally important objectives, Initiate.
We could pass a settler faction check to say, they're good people. I'm positive we can work something out.
I wholeheartedly agree. Remember, you represent the Brotherhood to these people. Do us proud.
Or we could lie by passing a charisma check of 4 to say, nothing to fear. I'm a real... people person.
If you say so. Remember, you represent the Brotherhood to these people. Do us proud.
With that, our quest Supplying Demands updates and sends us to the Foundation Supply Room. Optionally, we can check in with Knight Shin before we go. But Paladin Romani here has more to say.
You have your orders. Is there something else you need from me?
Appalachia is filled with weapons. What makes these so special?
While I understand where you're coming from, these weapons in particular have proven to be exceptionally dangerous. In untrained hands, misuse can prove fatal. In deviant hands, proper use can result in a great loss of innocent life. And even with all that aside, they have been tagged with the Brotherhood crest. Whether we intended it or not, these weapons represent us. If we aren't able to get the weapons back in our possession, they could end up causing irreparable damage to our standing in the region.
Surely there's other ways to secure food. Why work with Foundation?
Of course. I'm not suggesting that we aren't capable of securing our own survival here, Initiate. We trek the width of the country, you know. But we also can't pretend that we're alone in Appalachia. And furthermore, we're far from the first to inhabit these hills. If we can find a way to lessen the burden on our own people and form a strong relationship with like-minded folk, should we not follow through?
Nothing else to say. I'll be on my way.
Remember, you represent the Brotherhood to these people. Do us proud.
Next, moving downstairs, we can check in with Night Shin.
You're back. I assume Paladin Romani has tasked you with handling the situation. Why are you dragging your feet? Move out.
Do you have any advice for how I could get the weapons back? Assuming they have them, that is.
By any means necessary. Returning with those weapons is absolutely critical. This is too important a task for a light touch. Do whatever it takes. These weapons are far too dangerous to be in anyone's possession but our own.
Paladin Romani has asked me to establish a trade deal with Foundation.
I see. This isn't surprising, but it's not the choice that I would have made. I will have a word with Paladin Romani while you're out. But remember, respect the chain of command. If Paladin Romani has tasked you with this, carry it out, regardless of what you or I may think of it.
We could pass a perception check of 5 to say, but you do have an opinion on the matter.
Do not test my patience, Initiate. This is our way. Chain of command supersedes how we feel. However, I will put this as plainly as I can. I feel we'd grow stronger from continuing to rely on ourselves, rather than focus on trade deals. Recovering the weapons, however, is more than a task. It is your duty as a member of the Brotherhood of Steel. That's all I have to say on the matter. You have your assignment. Carry it out.
Man, he is losing his patience with me. I love it. Understood, Knight.
I'm expecting positive results, Initiate.
Now we make our way to Foundation to see if we can find out where the settlers got these weapons. To do so, we can start by heading to the Foundation interior and checking in with Paige.
What can I do for you?
With Steel Dawn installed, we find a new option to say, "Have you spoken with the Brotherhood of Steel? They're at Atlas Observatory."
Not yet. Gloria Chance from our supply room is going to be meeting with a representative from them soon.
That's me. I'm the Brotherhood's representative.
You don't say. Well, guess I'm hardly surprised. There's anything going around here that you don't have a hand in?
What do you think about the Brotherhood of Steel?
As a whole, hard to say. I've heard rumors about how the West Virginia branch behaved. I'm all for helping those in need, but the idea of involuntary assistance doesn't exactly thrill me. I guess I'll need to deal more with this new group before I form a solid opinion.
See you later.
We can always use more hands.
So we're looking for somebody named Gloria Chance in the supply room. We find the supply room on the southeastern side of Foundation. We've got to drop down to a lower level, and from here, we find a door that leads to the supply room. Inside, we find Gloria Chance holding a clipboard.
You must be here about that shipment of Blamco mac and cheese. Great. I was starting to get worried.
We can lie and say, "That's right, I take cap payments up front. $2,500.
2,000 and what? For a dozen...
They're pulling your leg, hon.
Well, that's not very nice. Why are you really here?
Calm down. I'm with the Brotherhood. I have some questions.
The Brotherhood? I thought Paladin Romani ran a tight ship. Meeting you makes me think otherwise. But I digress.
Or we could have said, "Negative, ma'am. I'm with the Brotherhood of Steel. I'm here on behalf of Paladin Romani."
Sorry about that. I suppose the power armor should have given that away. You say you're with Paladin Romani? That's fantastic. I didn't think she'd get back to us so quickly. How can I help you, sire, your majesty, your steeliness?
Your steeliness, that's right. Let's talk about weapons. Have you seen any lying around?
Weapons? Well, sure. We have all sorts for defending Foundation. Oh, maybe you mean... Hun, can you tell our friend here about those thingies we picked up recently?
Oh, sure thing. We got weapons all right, Initiate. You Brotherhood guys make some high-quality gear. And tell me if this sounds familiar. Tubes of explosive death with your logo on the side?
Or we can say, enough pleasantries. We have concerns that you may be harboring illegal weaponry.
Illegal? Are there even laws that we could break? Tad, hun, can you explain, please?
Let's simmer down now. Nothing to get all demansive about. Besides, the stuff we got is on the level. Unless you Brotherhood guys are making illegal weapons, I mean. And tell me if this sounds familiar. Tubes of explosive death with your logo on the side?
That does sound very familiar. Mind if I take a look, say?
Oh, sure. Or, no, actually. Some guys from the town watch took them out for testing a little earlier. I'm sure you can catch up with them. They normally practice at a small site they set up near the East Mountain Lookout, a bit north of here.
Or we could have said, last warning, citizen. You need to turn them over immediately.
Yeesh. Listen, I couldn't fork them over even if I wanted to. Some of our guys took them for a test run a little while ago. They're probably up by the East Mountain Lookout.
Oh, that's right. Mike and them took the weapons out for a test drive. If you head over, I'm sure they'd let you take a look. I hope you understand those weapons are our property, though. We spent quite a bit acquiring them. But hurry back. I'm sure we can still find a way to work together, even if we don't need more weapons.
There's something I want to discuss first.
Okay, shoot.
We need to talk about those weapons. Now.
Okay, if you don't think it can wait.
Well, I'm the one who spent all our caps on them, so the least I can do is be the one answering questions about them.
Where did you acquire these weapons?
I know a guy who knows a guy. I don't know the guy he knows, though. My guy buys this and that from caravans and traders. He drops by here when he finds something interesting. He didn't mention where he got these from, just said he thinks he got a good deal on them. So he gave me a slightly less good deal.
These weapons are very dangerous.
Good? I mean, they're weapons, right? Shouldn't weapons be dangerous? I'm not about to sign up for guard duty. I'm a lover, not a fighter, but...
Yeah.
Oh, hush you. Like I was saying, I'm no guard, but I would want to be equipped with the deadliest of weapons if I was. Follow me?
These weapons don't belong to you. They're property of the Brotherhood.
Except they do, though. We bought them. I've got receipts if you want to see them. They're handwritten, but we keep everything on the books here.
If they belonged to your crew originally, well, that's tough luck for sure. And I feel for you guys, I do. But look around us. What's not secondhand property anymore? Everything used to belong to somebody, right? Really, though, once you get things settled over by the lookout tower, I'm sure we can work something out.
What does a peaceful settlement like Foundation need weapons like these for?
Can anyone live peacefully these days? Raiders, mutants, giant sonic booms, screaming bats? You telling me you didn't bump into something nasty on your walk over here? Come on now.
I want to know more about what you do here.
Well, this is the supply room for all things coming and going from Foundation. If it ends up in one of the Sonny's shops, it goes through here first.
That's all. I'll head over to the East Mountain Lookout Tower now.
And send the fellas home, would ya? They've been playing with those things long enough.
With that, our map updates to the location of the East Mountain Lookout Tower. But before we head that way, we can explore this supply room. You've probably heard the annoying cat walking all over the place, meowing his little head off. This is Sunny. There's a door behind Tad. It's a bit of an office. We have some empty lockers, a display case, a desk. On a filing cabinet, we find a note, upcoming shipments. Meyer bread from the retreat should make for some good hoagies. Pepperoni rolls from the Blue Ridge Caravan Company, limited sample stock. Canned meat stew, scavenger, procured from Mama Dolce's. Blamco mac and cheese, scavenger, new contact. Should be a dozen boxes or so. 5.56 rounds from the Blue Ridge Caravan Company, Eugenie for delivery. Assortment of hunting rifle mods from the Blue Ridge Caravan Company, Eugenie as well. Make sure Tad doesn't talk her ear off again. Replica giant teapot, scavenger, for my collection. Heading out of the office, we see a couple of bookshelves filled with books. The cat has his own little nook over here with a watering dish and a rocket. Moving east, we see a security area. The door's open, we can explore it. Back here, we find some robots on display by a typewriter. Another little office. Here we find a desk with a Nuka-Cola on it and a note. Got that thing you wanted. Tea. It took a bit of haggling, but I managed to procure a limited print Tricentennial Protectron figure. It even still has the little flag and everything. It's not in box, of course, but I'd say it's near mint. Next time I'm by, let's talk prices. And that request for one of our backpacks? I don't know about that, my friend. We don't just give them out to anyone, but I understand they're kind of a collector's item, eh? Maybe I might be able to get you one if you're finally willing to part with that Grognarok battle damage axe replica. Looks like this is correspondence between Tad here and Ares from the Blue Ridge Caravan Company. I like how Ares talks about how difficult it is to get that stinking backpack. Can't count how many times I've done riding shotgun and have yet to get that doggone backpack. Ugh. And Ares collects Hubris comic stuff. What's interesting about this is we get the official pre-war name of the Grognax axe, like the one we found at the Hubris comic store in Fallout 4. It was called the Grognarok Battle Damage. Heading out and back into the room, we can go down a short ramp to find another security gate, but all we find inside are a bunch of stacked boxes and barrels, few of which we can loot, nothing of interest in any of them. So, heading outside, we can try to find this tower. The East Mountain Lookout is northeast of Foundation, directly east of West Tech. As we get close, we see that there's not much movement, and it looks like there might even be a charred crater at the foot of the tower. Getting closer, we can kill a possum. And we discover the East Mountain Lookout. Near to us is a dead body. Examining it, one of several dead bodies scattered around the area. They appear to be from Foundation. Nearby is another, and then in the middle of that charred crater, we find a dismembered corpse. This is an explosive impact that we can examine. A large impact from an explosive weapon. This would have been fatal to anyone standing nearby. Okay, we see that. Yikes! Directly above the crater is another corpse, and lying on the ground behind a sandbag barricade next to it is the weapon demonstration holotape.
All right, everyone gather around. Ward wanted us to record some instructions on how to use these things. Where's Mike? Hey, Mike, stop messing around that terminal and grab one of those rocket launchers.
Sorry. I wanted to lock the terminal first. Let me put this in my bag really quick.
Give it up, Mike. That could be decades old. Just grab one of them and come here. Wait, Mike, I told you not to pick it up like that.
Oh, God. What have I done?
Whoops. Well, I think that answered our questions. It was Mike. Mike accidentally killed everybody. But where is Mike? We see crates stamped with Brotherhood insignia scattered around, but looks like there's nothing inside. We can't interact with these. There's an outhouse beneath the tower, but nothing inside. On a pallet beneath the tower, we find some fusion cells, and on top of some cinder blocks is a terminal. Keep out or die. Last chance. If you're reading this, I'll cut you. If you know the secret password, use the secret menu. Read my messages. If you don't, why are you using this? I will kill you if I find you. We find 2 entries, at least one of which is written by this rather illiterate fellow. Secret! Keep out! Wrong password! Get out of here! Oh, looks like we need to find the password. Password wrong! I'll kill you! Oh gosh, this is a scary guy. But beneath this one, we find another entry that apparently is not password protected. from Mike. Hey, if you're from Foundation, that means I probably gave you the password to access the secret information on here. If not, whoops, sorry friend. But if you are from Foundation, check out the info this scavenger left. His spelling may leave a lot to be desired, but it seems like he found a perfect hiding place for something valuable. Uh-oh, looks like the guys are getting annoyed that I'm taking so long. Gotta go, Mike Tiller. So Mike was in the middle of writing this message before he locked the terminal and then accidentally killed everybody. Sounds like the scavenger who had previously used this terminal had found some place that might have a lucrative stash. We don't see Mike anywhere. Perhaps this location the scavenger found could give us a clue as to Mike's whereabouts. But now we've got to find the password. Where would he keep the password? We don't have to look very far. Right next to the pile of cinder blocks is a backpack. It's Mike's bag, and we can search it. A bag with the name Mike on it. We found a password holotape tucked into one of the pockets. Nice. Wow, that was, hard. Accessing the terminal again, we can now read the secret keep out terminal entry. We find 3 entries here and 1 syntax error 3 cannot compile. Reading that first, error report syntax error, and it looks as if the scavenger had tried to compile a script that would have auto-deleted the entries on it, but he spelled delete wrong, D-E-L-E-E-T. The computer couldn't figure that out, therefore couldn't compile the script, and therefore didn't delete any of the entries on the terminal. Of course, the computer knew exactly what was wrong. At the very bottom, helpful tip, did you mean auto-delete? Clearly he did, but oh well. The entries are still here, and so we can read them. We'll start with entry number 1, UR plan. Got UR last message loud and clear. Making plans right now. I'll report back if we get something. And then we see the failure of the auto-delete command at the bottom there. In entry 2, suckers. Good news. We hit that caravan. They never saw it coming. Huge haul. Just like you said. Check back here tomorrow to get your share. Well, so these were more than scavengers. These were raiders. And in the next one, entry 3, Kerwood Mine. Found the perfect place to hide your share from that last score. There's a place near here, Kerwood Mine. It'll take some doing, but I got an idea that will keep this stuff hidden away for a lifetime. Meet me there, but I'll leave instructions in case you miss me. Well, Mike seemed excited about whatever the scavenger placed in Kerwood Mine. Perhaps that is where Mike went after killing all of his friends. Before we leave, we can explore the lookout tower. Heading up the stairs, we find a number of plants and vegetables planted on various platforms. Of note, we can loot quite a few melons on one level and then a bunch of carrots on the next. On the next level, we find some corn. On the level before the top, we find potatoes. And at the top, we find a map of Appalachia on the wall next to a cooking stove. On a table near to the stove is Gerald's note. Dear Sandy, today I woke up and you were gone. Somehow, I know I won't be far behind. These past 4 years have been the happiest of my life. The world's gone crazy down below, but up here, our crops are thriving. Your flowers are still blooming. Some days, I think I can even forget. I will see you again soon, my love. Gerald. Behind the desk is a king-sized bed, with a walking cane leaning against it, and 2 pairs of glasses on the headboard. On the ground is a silver locket, and next to a copy of the Rad Poker board game, which must have been used to while away many hours up here, we find a Skillable 1-locked footlocker. On the balcony just outside are the flowers we read about. Mutated fern, wild carrot flowers, a duffel bag lies nearby. We get the impression that an elderly couple, after the bombs dropped, managed to survive for some time at the top of this lookout tower. Sandy died first, and Gerald soon followed her. We can only hope that they died of natural causes. Back on the ground, we find a trail leading over the cliff towards Kerwood Mine. But along the way, we accidentally bump a barrel. Oh! and it goes tumbling down the trail. Well, we can follow it. Heading down the trail, we find it leaning against a tree, and we can kick it. Continuing down the trail, we pass by boxes stamped with Brotherhood insignia along the way. Looks like Mike carried some weapons with him and dropped some along the way, but we can't interact with these. Soon we stumble upon the barrel, and we can kick it. Rounding a bend, we find the barrel among some rocks, and we can kick it. Continuing along the trail, we pass even more Brotherhood stamped crates, and we discover Kerwood Mine just as we come upon our barrel again. Then we can give it a good kick. We kick the barrel right up to the entrance of Kerwood Mine, just in time for a mole miner to attack. And then a mole rat. Lovely. Well, we're definitely at the right spot. There's another Brotherhood crate. The crate lies beside some tracks. A sign before the tracks reads, "Danger! Abandoned mine! Keep out." There are a couple of shacks outside, as well as this ruined picker-up truck with scrap and booze in the back. The first shack door is locked with a skill level 1 lock. Inside we find a rad roach, a first aid kit on the wall, and a bed. In the next shack, we find a mole rat. There is an American flag on the wall, a dead miner lying in the corner, a radio, a teddy bear, and a little bit of scrap. In the western shack, we find a few miner containers, a miner corpse lying on a sleeping bag, and a petrified corpse next to a chem cooler. When ready, we can move towards the mine entrance and open the double door to Kerwood Mine. On the other side of the door, we follow the tracks, passing skeleton after skeleton, until we reach a large open room where we can kill a mole rat. But creeping closer, we find a bunch of mole miners. There appears to be a number of ways we can move forward. Heading to the platform to the right first, however, we find some double doors. And standing on the other side of the doors is Mike. Hey, Mike.
Hold it right there. Don't come any closer.
Trying to tell me what to do is a bad idea.
I'm sorry. Don't hurt me. It was an accident.
Okay. Let's just take a deep breath.
No, you don't understand. What I did, Oh, man. I'm Mike Tiller. Go to Foundation. Tell him you found me dead. Because I'm never leaving. I'm not going back. You can't make me. They'll never believe me. They'll think I'm a murderer.
You'll be actually dead once I get in there, kid.
No! Just stay away!
Mike, just relax. I understand what happened. We can talk through this.
There's nothing to say. Just go and leave me. This door is barred tight, and way behind me is flooded. You can't get in. Just give up and go tell Gloria I'm dead.
No matter what option we choose, Mike refuses to open the door. He's stuck in this locked room. Looks like the only way we're gonna get to Mike is if we travel through the flooded chambers behind him. On a nearby table, we find a holotape, Brotherhood of Steel report, Kerwood.
Scouting report. Brotherhood Squire Schultz. Kerwood Mine is almost completely flooded. Going down into that brine without power armor or a stronger set of lungs seems suicidal. It's too bad. My recon instincts are telling me there could be something good down there. Maybe a way into that locked room.
We haven't met a Squire Schultz at any point so far in this story. We know no Squire Schultz came with the expedition from California. This must have been a recon report from Taggarty's chapter of the Brotherhood before they all died to the Scorched. After looting a bunch of scrap on this platform, we can move back down towards the tracks. We find a coal elevator here with what appears to be a really rickety bridge crossing it. I don't think I want to risk it. We see a sickle lying on the boards there, as if taunting us, but creeping forward. Oh, I knew it was a trap. Oh, you didn't get me, guys. Not this time. Well, we're going to try and find another way down there. And looks like to do that, we've got to follow the tracks off to the west. Oh, wait. Peering south, we see a little room with a mole rat. Heading this way first, we pass by the skeletons of long-dead miners, loot a little bit of scrap, but this tunnel eventually winds back around to the tracks. Just to confirm, we can turn right to see if this connects to the room we came from. But these mole rats keep spawning. And yeah, here we are back at the room we came from. Okay, moving back to the tracks, we can follow it past the tunnel we came from and towards an opening to the right. This opening looms over a flooded section below. To the right, next to the tracks, we find a note stabbed into a box, and it's spelled poorly. Diving suit. Listen up. I got a fancy diving suit in this here box. Use it to dive in the water and find those valuables. I put them in red bags, so look sharp. Oh, this is the treasure that we read about on the terminal. It's going to be in red bags. And inside the crate, we find a cave diving suit. Before donning the suit, we can clear the room below. The cave diving suit should be familiar to anyone who played the Far Harbor expansion for Fallout 4. It grants water breathing and immunity from water radiation and diseases, giving us 1,000 rad resist. And it looks identical to the one that we get in Far Harbor. Turning around, we can finish exploring this platform before we dive down. The little nook behind us where we killed the mole rat just has some coal. And then following the tracks all the way to the end, we find a dead miner, and that's it. So to continue, looks like we've got to head down this slope and towards the water. Along the way, we find a couple of containers with miner scrap inside. And diving in, we see that the water is murky. Oh god, navigating this is going to be a nightmare. It looks like there's a couple of ways forward. We see a path still illuminated off to the north, but our quest marker is pointing down a tunnel to the west. Well, I wanted to find all of those red bags of treasure, so I decided to go away from the quest marker down this tunnel to the north. We arrive in a completely flooded room. There are some containers to the left on a cabinet, and then swimming down to the ground floor, we find a bunch of flooded machinery. There are more boxes on the ground, but this room is pretty small. It opens up with a passageway to the northeast, and lying beneath a still illuminated light, we find the first bag of hidden valuables. Continuing forward, we reach some tracks. The tracks go north to south, and we see another track moving off to the northeast in front of us. We'll start by following the tracks to the south. This leads us to the very bottom of an elevator shaft. Ow! This must have been the shaft that we saw upon arrival. At the bottom we find a cooler and an explosives crate, and swimming up to the surface, yeah, we see the wood spanning the elevator shaft that we saw from the top. I tried to find that sickle that fell down here, but it was impossible to find in this murky water. At any rate, this is a dead end, so turning around, we arrive back at the fork. We can continue northwest or move northeast. I decided to move northeast first, and here we find our second bag of hidden valuables. We're in another small flooded room. There's the ruins of a Nuka-Cola machine on the ground, more machinery, a couple of containers on a platform, and an outhouse with nothing inside. This room leads to a passageway to the northwest. Following it, we arrive back at some tracks. These tracks go north to south as well, but the northern passage is blocked. So moving south, we can follow the tracks, and these lead back to the first set of tracks we found. Okay, so this set of tracks veer off to the west, which means we've explored everything to the east. I swam east a bit just to make sure I wasn't missing anything. There's the elevator shaft. Okay, I know where I'm at. Continuing west down the tracks, we follow them uphill. We arrive at two nooks, one on either side of the tracks. The right nook is empty. The left nook is empty. Back to the tracks and continuing to follow them west, we pass a first aid kit on the wall to the right. And at length, we find the third and final bag of hidden valuables. We've completed our optional objective. We see the tracks continue up to the north, but we also notice a little ramp off to the south. We surface amongst some glowing fungus. Okay, so we need to go over there to the north. That's how we're gonna find Mike. But this is a great place to rest and heal on up. Moving up, we can loot the bodies of the mole miners, and we find a big fenced-off area, a bunch of abandoned machinery, some of which still appears to be working. I guess that can explain why some of the lights are still illuminated here. We find a couple of containers, a bottle of bourbon, some diluted Radex on the ground, and another sunken path off to the south, away from our quest marker. Oh, great. Well, I gotta see what's down here. Hopping in, we can follow this path, and it's a pretty straight shot. We don't find any nooks, any other side passages. This one ends at the ramp, atop which we found the diving suit. This was the other path we could have followed. It would have taken us straight to that room, and we would have missed all of the hidden valuables. All right, so now we know where that tunnel went. So, back in the water, we can retrace our steps and emerge into the fenced-off room where we killed the mole miners. Then, back in the water, we can find the train tracks again and follow them northwest until we find an opening to the east. Here, the water is too shallow to swim through, so instead, we wade. We come up on dry land, surrounded by glowing fungus. The path rounds a corner to the left, takes us up until we emerge in a large room to the right. Here we see a bunch of mole miners. And they got rocket launchers. This'll take some tricky maneuvering. Got it. Yo. Okay, that's most of them. But I still hear at least one. And that appears to be all of them. The mole miners were occupying a large room filled with scrap, crates, Canisters, containers, carts filled with coal. There are tracks here that lead to what appears to be an abandoned freight elevator to the south, but it's all caved in. There's no way forward in that direction. Moving east, we find some walls in the middle of this room, sectioning off an elevated platform. On the platform, we find a cabinet with the Kerwood mine key on top, and beneath we find a note. Stop taking the key. Roy, stop taking the damn key and leaving it in random places. I'm the foreman now. It's my key, and it belongs in my office. If you don't start listening to me, you're out of here. I don't care who your uncle is. Is he talking about these keys? The ones that we just found? This doesn't really look like an office. We find a bit of scrap on this platform, a metal box, and a first aid kit. We see a security gate to the east, and it requires a key. Huh. Only the Kerwood back tunnel key can unlock this door. Okay. I guess we just looted the wrong key. So, where's the right key? Well, we can retrace our steps to try to find it. Without quest markers, this might be a tricky chore, but thankfully, the quest markers point us to a sunken blue file cabinet at the bottom of the freight elevator. Here we find the Kerwood back tunnel key. Well then, what was the other key we looted? Anyway, swimming all the way back, we can use the Kerwood back tunnel key we just got to open this security gate. We arrive in a tunnel. Continuing forward, we find more water wading through. We finally get to a deeper portion that we can swim through. Here we find an underwater tunnel that leads to more tracks. The tunnel continues to the southeast. The tracks go east to west. Going west down the tracks first, we arrive at a light and rocks that block our passage. So retracing our steps, we can try to go down this southeastern passage, but this leads to a dead end that has a small room where we can surface to get some air, but there's nothing else here. So, back to the tracks, we can follow them east. Eventually, we find an earthen ramp that we can climb. Here we find a miner corpse, some barrels scattered around, and climbing the path, we arrive in a room with more mole miners. The mole miner's dead, we can explore this new room. There is brain fungus all over the place with skeletons this way and that, an earthen ramp off to the east, and another room to the west. Moving west first, we see this is a dead end. There's a skill level 1 locked explosives crate here, and more brain fungus. So that means we've got to go east up this ramp. We pass by blowtorches and lamps, skeletons all over the place. A mole rat. Until at length we arrive at a giant hole in a concrete wall. It looks like we might have done a big loop. We may be back at the entrance to Kerwood Mine. We see an open door to the west, leading to a small room, and a security gate to the north, next to a cigarette machine. We can open the security gate with the Kerwood Mine key, the one we found on top of that note. This is the office that we read about. Looks like Roy never read the note to leave the keys in the blue cabinet, or if he did, he didn't care. On the desk is the foreman's terminal. It's locked with a skill level 2 lock, and next to this is a safe locked with a skill level 3 lock. If we hack the terminal, we read, Kerwood Mine, Foreman. Welcome, Foreman. User not found. Please select a menu entry. We find 2 options in Foreman's log. Kerwood Mine Foreman, welcome Foreman, Sam Bailey. Please select a log entry for view. We find 4 entries in Entry 1. Log recorded August 15th, 2077. Started this job at a bad time. This mine has seen better days. She's barely holding together, and coal demand keeps going up for the war effort. Our guys are working around the clock and they're looking rough. Hell, me too. I guess we should feel lucky that we haven't been replaced by those damn robots yet. Heard rumors that AMS wants to detonate a chain of nuclear blasts in the local mine system to speed up production. What a horrible idea. But nobody gives a damn what I have to say. I need a drink. We learned more about what AMS was doing and the greater drama going on between the mining companies of Appalachia in my series on the topic that you can watch here. In the next one, Entry 2, log recorded September 2nd, 2077. Another horrible crisis narrowly averted. No thanks to our local idiot fire boss. I tried to get him canned again today, but the powers that be informed me that Roy Kerwood is untouchable. I'll give you 2 guesses why. The kid thinks he runs crap around here. This month he started blatantly taking cash from the safe. I had to lock it up so tight the silver shroud wouldn't be able to get in. I'm thankful to have a job in this economy, but let's face it, I'm not getting any younger. Some days I can't shake the feeling that I'll live out the last of my days in this place, and that would terrify me if I didn't think of the alternative. In the next one, Entry 3, log recorded October 17th, 2077. Damn it! It hit the fan over here and I have better things to do, but they say they want a log entry for insurance purposes. What a crock of crap. As predicted, AMS really screwed us with that chained detonation last week. The whole mine shook. About half the tunnels collapsed along with the main lift shaft. 17 men died immediately, maybe more. Haven't recovered all of the bodies yet. It knocked out the dewatering system and breached into a nearby mine, completely flooding the lower network. The water is irradiated from the detonation, so swimming through it for a rescue operation is off the table. 32 men are trapped down there. The structure engineer has no clue what to do. We broke a hole through the locker room into an old shaft, but that's flooded too. Don't know what to do next, but we better come up with something fast. There's my log. I hope they know where they can stick it. Oh God! So all of the bodies we found here were from before the war? All these people died because AMS was using nukes to mine. How could they have screwed this up so badly? Entry 4. Log recorded November 6th, 2077, after the bombs dropped on October 23rd, 2077. The world is over. The trapped miners are dead. Hell, everybody's dead. It's cold outside. The bombs hit last month and I have nowhere to go. I have 7 boxes of food, a gun with 2 bullets, and a bottle of whiskey. In the end, I'll use all of them. Probably not in that order, though. I don't even know why I'm writing this. Bored, I guess. The generators are holding, for now, but I hear all kinds of noises from the flooded part of the mine. I know it's impossible, but it sounds like screams. Horrified screams that haunt my nightmares. If anybody ever reads this, I hope the world isn't as screwed as it seems. If it is, I feel sorry for you. Though unconfirmed, there is a theory that Kerwood Mine may be the origin of many of the mole miners. After all, we just read that only 17 men died with the AMS nuclear detonations, and 32 men were trapped down there. 32 men whose screams Sam Bailey still heard weeks after the bombs dropped on October 23rd, 2077. How could anyone still be alive, trapped underground in a sunken, irradiated mine weeks after the nuclear holocaust? Unless they somehow mutated, like ghouls somehow thriving on radiation. Or like the ghost people from the Sierra Madre. They mutated in a unique way. Only possible in this place, underground, in these suits, with the unique combination of the AMS nuclear radiation, the nuclear radiation from the apocalypse seeping down, and all of the chemicals coating the walls and infecting the water of this place, producing a kind of mutated creature that could survive things that would kill most anyone else, but in exchange, degenerating them into the nearly mindless mole miners. Using the terminal, we can unlock the skill level 3 locked safe, and then backing out of the office, we can loot the rest of this locker room where we find a few chems and miner equipment, then walk through the nearby door to at last confront Mike Tiller.
Oh God. You made it! How did you even... Please, don't hurt me!
Move aside. These weapons are coming with me.
What? No! These are too dangerous! I have to hide them and destroy them or something. Let me explain.
I'm not gonna hurt you, Mike. I'm just here to talk.
Okay, I can explain. We were just testing these out. You know, Tad picked them up a while back. They seemed really powerful. They were always telling me, "Be careful, Mike. Don't pick it up that way, Mike." But my fingers slipped and I killed them all instantly. But it was an accident. I swear. I never... Oh, God.
This is why I need to take these weapons. They're too dangerous for civilians.
They're too dangerous for anyone. They just obliterated so effortlessly. All dead. Look, I'll go back to Foundation, but I can't let you have these weapons. I'll leave if you let me take the weapons back there myself.
Gloria and Tad will understand. These weapons are incredibly dangerous. This isn't your fault.
I mean, sure, but that doesn't change what I did. How can I face them after No, you're right. They should hear it from me. I'll go back. On one condition. Let me bring the weapons back myself. Gloria and Tad will know what to do. I'm sorry. They're the only ones I trust to take care of these. I have to make sure they get back to them.
We find a number of options here, including the option to attack and kill him. We could lie and pass a charisma check of 5 to say no one else is going to believe you. You're a murderer, kid. You gotta run.
Oh, God. You're right. They'll never believe me. I've gotta get out of here.
In which case, we get the Brotherhood of Steel weapons key, and he gets ready to leave.
Please be careful with the weapons. I don't want anyone else to get hurt.
Or we could pass a perception check of 10 to say, and blow yourself up on the way? Let me bring them back.
I dragged all these in here, though, and you're right. Man, that was dumb. Fine. You bring them and meet me at Foundation, okay?
In which case he gives us the key and heads back towards Foundation. Either way, with the key in hand, we can open the nearby steamer trunk. Inside we find the Brotherhood of Steel weapons cache. There are other items around here, a laser rifle, a laser pistol, some ammunition lying around. Incidentally, this skeleton we find back here is likely the remains of Sam Bailey. We read on his terminal that he was trapped down here. After the bombs dropped, he only had a few boxes of food left, 1 bottle of whiskey, and a gun with 2 bullets left. This skeleton lies here just outside his office with a gun in its hand. Sam Bailey likely committed suicide before he could turn into whatever it was he heard screaming in the darkness. We find a damaged hazmat suit on a shelf, some Med-X, and after looting, we can activate the latch bar to open the door that leads us back to the first room. With that, we have fully explored Kerwood Mine and either killed, exiled, or rescued Mike Tiller. Heading back to Foundation, we can make our way to the supply room and check in with Gloria Chance. And this conversation goes very differently depending on the choices we made in the mine. If we killed Mike or exiled him, we have to let Gloria know what happened.
You're back! I was starting to get worried. Oh, you've got the weapons. Where's Mike and the others? Weren't they at the tower?
We find a couple of options. We could tell her the truth, that Mike accidentally killed them all, or we find 2 options to lie. The easier charisma check is to tell her there was an accident with the weapons and there were no survivors. This is a lie because Mike was a survivor, but we killed him or exiled him. Or to pass a much more difficult 5 charisma check to say that guy Mike went nuts and killed them all, and that we had to put him down.
What? That's terrible! My God, those poor boys. I would have never expected. Mike, of all people.
Mike? Killed them all? For real?
Or, if we convinced Mike to give us the weapons and come back to Foundation, we find him here in the supply room, and he's already told Gloria what happened.
Mike was just telling us about what happened out there. I can't believe it. All those boys, it's a lot to take in.
I'm
Now-
still trying to wrap my head around it.
Either way, we arrive at this dialogue tree. We could say, "I'm sorry for your loss. Is there any way I can help?"
Help? Well, I see you've got our weapons. You could start by giving them back. I told you, we bought them fair and square.
Or we could say, "These weapons are too dangerous. I hope you see that."
Well, I hope you're planning on giving the weapons back all the same. They're ours.
Tad, enough! We still need to find a way to work with these people. I think we should try and wrap up business between us now. We're going to need to tell those families about what happened. I know it's hard to think about at a time like this, but settling on a deal and having you on your way is probably for the best. Now then, I understand you'll want to take these weapons back with you, but that won't work for us. They cost us too many caps to just let go. Unfortunately, regardless of where they came from before, they're our property now, and they'll need to stay with us.
And again, we find a number of options. We could leave the weapons here at Foundation. We can try to take the weapons, or we can pass an intelligence check or a perception check to guarantee that we take the weapons. We could pass a perception check of 8+ to say, "Your people lack discipline, not weaponry. Let us keep the weapons, and we'll offer training."
Well, hard to argue with that. We're not exactly the most disciplined bunch.
It's true. Maybe if I had proper training, this wouldn't have happened.
All right, the weapons are safer with you, but what would the Brotherhood need in return for training?
We have one opportunity to back out and choose another option, or we can say, "You can provide us surplus food and any intel on unusual weaponry like this in the future."
You're not gonna make me do push-ups, are you?
'Cause that would be the end of the world. Okay, we provide food, water, and the latest scoop on weird tech, and the Brotherhood provides us with training to better defend ourselves.
I like it.
Sounds pretty fair to me.
Me too. It's a deal. Push-ups included.
Oh, shit.
Thanks for all your help. Please let Paladin Romani know where we stand.
Good looking out, your steeliness. Stop by again sometime, okay?
Or we can try to strong-arm them. We could pass a strength check of 4 to say, "We keep the weapons, you provide food. The Brotherhood will not stand for any less."
You jackbooted piece of shit!
You aren't serious, are you?
Like last time, we have one opportunity to choose something else, but if we're dead set on this, we can say, "If you refuse to cooperate, the Brotherhood will take what we need by force."
Fine. Foundation is in no position to go to war with something like the Brotherhood of Steel. Take the weapons and leave. You'll have your food and water. Let Paladin Romani know that we're unsatisfied with this result.
Don't bother checking if the food's got spit in it. It will.
If we chose to strong-arm her, neither of them want to talk with us again.
Just leave us alone already, would you?
I think it's about time you got the hell out of here.
But if we chose to negotiate peacefully with them, we can still talk with them. And if we kept Mike Tiller alive, or convinced him to come back, we can talk with him too.
Thanks again for not killing me. Real glad things worked out. But I'm going to have to really think about how to make things right. I'm not sure that'll ever be possible.
Good looking out, your steeliness. Stop by again sometime, okay?
Sarcastic asshole. I like him.
Please let Paladin Romani know what we settled on. I only wish it could have been under less unfortunate circumstances.
Either way, we now have to head back to Fort Atlas and report back to Paladin Romani. When we get back, we see that Paladin Romani is discussing strategy with Knight Shin.
Initiate, give your report to Paladin Romani.
Welcome back, Initiate. I was just discussing the missile launcher matter with Knight Shin here. I imagine you're here to report on your dealings with
Give your report
Foundation.
to Paladin Romani.
Well then, don't keep us waiting.
If we chose to strong-arm the settlers at Foundation, we find an option to say, here's the weapons. I made sure that Foundation understood that subservience to the Brotherhood is required.
As it should be.
Initiate? This is unacceptable. In any way, shape, or form, did I give you the impression that the Brotherhood is a belligerent occupation? Do you think we kick in doors and demand payment and supplies? Should we resort to pillaging next, perhaps?
Paladin, let's not get carried away.
Do not downplay this, Knight Shin. We are not that kind of organization. Initiate. Any reward for completing this task is forfeit. I expect so much better of you in the future.
We should focus on the fact that the Initiate kept these weapons out of civilian hands.
That much is true. We need to be vigilant in dealing with similar situations in the future. That's enough for now.
Paladin, maybe we should check in with Scribe Valdez. She had mentioned wanting to bring something important to our attention.
That's right. Initiate, can I trust you to retrieve Scribe Valdez? Or is that perhaps asking too much of you? Knight Shin and I have a few things to discuss in the meantime.
Or if we chose to negotiate with them, we find an option to say, I returned with the weapons and a trade deal. Foundation will also report weaponry and accept training from us.
Interesting. So they'd be willing to take our lead when it comes to how they handle defense in the future. This could be mutually beneficial.
You're right.
At the very least, we may be able to rely on them to keep the crater in check.
We're not here to exacerbate aggressions between the locals, Knight Shin. Initiate, your heart is in the right place, but we need to be careful about creating too much imbalance in the region. I'd be happy to recruit members of Foundation into our ranks if they want to learn to fight, but making the settlement more militant is concerning.
So you'd be okay if they're properly trained, but only if they're flying our colors. That sounds more like a recruitment drive than an effort to help others.
That's enough, Knight. You know it's more complicated than you're boiling it down to. Besides, we have a more pressing issue that the Initiate has uncovered. It's troubling that the weapons have spread to this degree, but there isn't much we can do beyond dealing with situations like this as they arise. But, Initiate, I hope you know you've done well.
Find, protect, and preserve.
Paladin, maybe we should check in with Scribe Valdez. She had mentioned wanting to bring something important to our attention.
That's right. Initiate, please let the scribe know we're ready for her. Knight Shin and I have a few things to discuss in the meantime.
Either way, we complete the quest, supplying demands. But our reward from completing the quest is different based on our choices. And this quest could have ended in quite a few ways. I was only able to show 2 of them. We could have practically failed the quest by not retrieving the weapons, say by giving them back to Foundation. In this case, we would not have gotten a reward. If we use the strength check to demand the weapons, we complete the quest, but Romani does not give us a reward. If we promised Foundation protection from the Brotherhood in exchange for the weapons, Shin gets pissed off, but Romani likes the idea. If we didn't get a trade deal at all, Shin is glad that the Brotherhood is left to its own devices, but Romani is disappointed that the Brotherhood has missed an opportunity to more closely integrate with residents of Appalachia. If, however, we promised training from the Brotherhood in return for the weapons and food and intel, Shin loves this. He thinks this will make Foundation a great deterrent against the raiders at Crater. And though Romani is a little uncomfortable with the idea of militarizing the settlers at Foundation, she ultimately acquiesces. If we complete the quest without completely pissing off Romani and Shin, our reward is some randomized chems, some randomized food, and one minor thrown explosive. If we also completed the optional task of finding the sunken valuables in Kerwood Mine, we have a small chance to get a rare plan. In my game, I got a plan for the plasma mine. If we don't find all of the sunken valuables, we miss out on our chance to get the plan, even if we complete the quest in a way that Romani and Shin like. However, even if we pissed off Romani and Shin, we may miss out on the randomized rewards, but we still get a chance to earn some of the rare plans, as long as we found the sunken treasures. No matter what decision we make, when done, we begin the quest over and out. It's time for the Appalachian Brotherhood to re-establish contact with Elder Maxon. After completing this missing weapons story arc for the Brotherhood, we find that the Settler and Raider factions have begun to form an opinion about the Brotherhood. And these opinions are different based on our choices in the game. If we go back to Foundation and talk to Paige, we find an option to ask, "Have you spoken with the Brotherhood of Steel?" They're at Atlas Observatory.
Not personally, but I've spoken with Gloria about what went down.
If we passed the strength check to strong-arm them into giving us the weapons and giving us food and resources with nothing in return.
And from what I've heard, you've got a lot of guts even showing up around here. Let's just say it's a good thing you weren't dealing with me directly. Based on what Gloria tells me, it doesn't sound like this group, you in particular, are any better. Maybe even worse. I'll need more time, but I'm second-guessing any contact we've already had.
If, however, we formed a mutually beneficial trade agreement, like offering to train them in how to use weapons.
That incident at the lookout tower, that should have never happened. It's a damn shame. But I'm relieved that things worked out between us and the Brotherhood. I appreciate you taking part in that. You've proven that they can be a valuable partner, though. So it gives me some hope that perhaps things will be different with this group.
Heading to Crater, we find a new option when talking with Meg. I met Pierce at the War Room.
Oh yeah? Then why should I care?
We find the top option only if we have sided with the settlers at Foundation. As long as he doesn't threaten Foundation, we're good.
Don't you and your overall-wearing buddies get too comfortable. Just because the Brotherhood poses a bigger threat at the moment, don't mean we're fine with you settling on our land. We'll come for you next.
He is doing an admirable thing, fighting against the Brotherhood.
Yeah, he is. You know, I wasn't sure at first if I should trust him with the responsibility of that fight. But the boy's got a silver tongue. Next time I looked, he already had people rallying. And I ain't one to stop my people from following what they believe in.
He's dumb. There's no way Crater can take down the Brotherhood. And her response differs based on her opinion of us. If our allegiance is with the settlers at Foundation.
And who are you to say anything about it?
Or if our allegiance is with the Craters at Raider.
I'm disappointed you would say that, 7-6. Especially after working side by side with some of our best. The Brotherhood may be organized, but we've got passion. We ain't ever giving up. And I don't want to hear any chicken-shitted criticism from you ever again.
Just making conversation.
Pierce is in charge of our fight against the Brotherhood of Steel. And he's doing a damn good job of it.
And we see that Paladin Romani has added a new entry to her personal terminal. We find a new entry here directly beneath Arrival. They're back. The weapons. They have found their way into the hands of both Blood Eagle Raiders and the Raiders of Crater. It is of utmost importance that we keep these weapons out of the hands of any Raiders. I do not trust their intentions with that sort of weaponry. I have tasked our newest initiate and Knight Shin with taking care of this matter. As the superior officer of this unit, I can't help but feel some responsibility for their spread across Appalachia. These weapons have already claimed many lives, including one of our own. I will make sure that we contain this wildfire before more people get burned by our mistakes. I have a feeling that Leela is going to be updating this terminal as we progress further in the story. But sadly, I am all out of time. We'll have to speak with Scribe Valdez to find out exactly how to re-establish contact with the Brotherhood at Lost Hills in our next episode. I publish new Fallout videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss that episode, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you have already but you still feel like you're missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I've got a shirt shop with completely unique designs that you can't find anywhere else. My designs come on shirts in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes, and in a wide array of colors. You can find them on other products as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. YouTube members and patrons on Patreon gain access to a private channel on my Discord server, and YouTube members get little badges that appear next to their names in the comment sections of my videos, and access to Ox emojis that they can use in my video comments and in the live chats of my live streams. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with the next episode in the full story of Steel Dawn.